Welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, where we look at the latest comics and other media featuring the Transformers. In this episode, we continue our journey through the Energon universe with Skybound's latest entry, Cobra Commander number 1. Today is Friday, January 19th, 2024, and this is episode 373 of Transmissions Alt Mode.
Welcome to Transmissions Alt Mode, the podcast that's returning to a location we never thought we'd see again. I'm your host, Charles, aka Big C, and I'm joined by the excellent Transmissions team. Jeremy, aka Yakko.
Hello.
And Daryl, the Cybertronian Beast.
Get ready for this shit. Let's talk Transformers. No, that's a lie.
We're got a little bit of news.
Daryl, are there Transformers in this comic? Are there Transformers? Tell the truth. Are there Transformers in this comic?
Nothing conscious. It's a big pile of parts.
There was one page that would disagree with you.
Stop. Is a light. It was a
We're
light.
gonna spoil the comic before the review. But we're talking about some other comic news before that is all about Transformers.
Sure.
All right.
We got to get on with the show. The episode where we tortured Daryl.
Yeah. This is becoming a bi-weekly event.
All right. Anyway, as always, we start the show by thanking our donatrons, those lovely people who support this podcast, help us keep the lights on, keep the show going. And they appreciate when we make choices to review comics that are part of adjacent and part of the Transformers Energon universe.
I have missed all these emails. It's so strange how I've been.
I have missed
any of those.
I have missed any comments or feedback complaining about this.
Oh.
Other than from Daryl's sock puppets.
All
right.
Well,
if you'd like
to gather the troops.
When your I am not Daryl at gmail.com wasn't breaking anything.
Yeah, it looked pretty professional from my point of view.
If you'd like to become a donatron and support this madness, just go to transmissionspodcast.com/support. That's where you can sign up. We've got lots of perks. We've got bonus content, including a bonus show done by Daryl and Dr. Pants called We Like Big Bots. We've got a brand new episode this week. Thanks to Daryl and Dr. Pants finally getting back in the studio. This is episode 12, and it's all about Grimlock.
Serpentor. No, Grimlock. We don't talk about freaking G.I. Joe. We talk about Transformers and big bots and awesome transforming robots. It's all about robots, and we love it. We talk about Grimlock because he's a big-ass dinosaur robot that transforms and eats fucking snakes and shit. It's stupid. Yeah, that's right. He's just, we talk about awesome snakes. Robots.
Grimlock
I'm sure he would.
Okay. All right.
Cobra, in particular.
If you want to watch all the Big Bots episodes, you can go to our Patreon page. If you can get access as a donatron, you've got 12 episodes to watch. Hopefully, we'll get some more in the coming weeks. But these are two new ones. Just this one and the one from right before Christmas. Megatron and Grimlock are up there right now, so you can watch them. We've also got our Transformers Live Play RPG podcast, Empire of Rust. The side story special, the Rustford Files, is still going strong. We had episode 9 come out this week. Do Transformers Dream of Rising Cranes? And you can listen to all the episodes at transmissionspodcast.com/rust. You can also buy our exclusive Skybound Transformers #1 comic. That's cover artwork by EJ Sue, and you can get that at transmissionspodcast.com/comic. You can also order, now that we know that we are going to TFCon LA, you can order your comic and get it for TFCon LA pickup in March. So you don't have to pay shipping, and we will hand deliver it to you in March. And at TFCon LA, you can get your book signed by the cover artist, EJ Sue. So check that out. And lastly, you can use our code at toyhacks.com to save 15% off everything at toyhacks.com. Use that code BIGBOT24 for the month of January. So a couple more weeks, that code will still be active. And anything you get at toyhacks.com will be 15% off. You can use it multiple times, as many times as you want. It'll be all good. And of course, you can also send an email to us to enter into our monthly contest for doing a $10 gift code draw from toyhacks.com. You can send an email to contest@transmissionspodcast.com. Just tell us you want to enter the monthly drawing and send us a picture of the toy you'd like to get some stickers for. So do it. All right, let's start off with a little bit of comics news before we get into our review. So we got some news this week that Jorge Corona is taking over art duties for the second story arc of Skybound's Transformers. So, and we've speculated about this. We've talked about, Daniel Warren Johnson doing art and writing it's a tough pace to keep up with an ongoing book. So we speculated that he would not be doing both for the entire time. And yes, as of issue 7, he's getting help from an artist, Jorge Corona, and they are doing all the art duties, but Daniel Warren Johnson is still writing it. So the story will be the same, but we're getting a new art style. But it looks pretty good, looks pretty consistent. We've got this one cover image, and this is the new artist. So Jorge Corona's art here. Of course, the interesting thing is seeing who's in the looks. I mean, if the cover is telling us the truth, we don't know at this point whether or not it is. But it looks like we're getting a few more characters, and it looks like the Autobots have gotten the arc back. So Alita 1, I see Alita 1, I see RC, I see Jazz back up and running again, and I see Carly. So Spike is probably still in the hospital, but looks like Carly is the new regular human associate for the Transformers. So
Optimus still has Megatron's arm.
Yes, yeah. So interesting. If this is an indication of what's going to be inside the book, it's very interesting. But the press release from Skybound has Daniel Warren Johnson giving a lot of praise to Jorge Corona, so I imagine that they are working well together, and hopefully the story will continue to be strong and the art will continue to be strong on the book. We've been very happy with Transformers for the last 4 issues, and I just hope it continues.
I just want to jump in on this and say that I have been, a real proponent of Daniel Warren Johnson's art. I've enjoyed how it's been the book has been paced. The art has been really well serving to the story. We just literally just kind of went through our collections and kind of searched to see if we had anything from Jorge Corona. I got almost 11,000 comic books. I have nothing from Jorge Corona in it. Not a single thing. So I have no frame of reference to kind of check back and see. But this one image, I can kind of show that see that I really like the detail work that he's doing on the bottom half of the cover. He's very, very good at doing, that kind of greeble kind of detail stuff that I really kind of enjoy for like backgrounds and stuff like that. That's a lot of detail in there, and I really enjoy that. The character work, is pretty light. I'm not so happy with that. So this is just first impressions, but obviously these bots are kind of almost in the background of this cover. The foreground is really all this detail. Uh, One, I would also another thing, Charles, I would say, looking at this cover, I'm not 100% convinced they've got the art back or arc back. It's just the one piece is kind of the same color as the arc, but other than that, it just looks like machinery. But uh, you know, I just want to say that the character work is pretty different than Daniel Warren Johnson's kind of heavy lines that he uses. These are a lot more, thin lines with, I don't know. It's hard to describe, but it is a very different art style than Daniel Warren Johnson's style. And we have no kind of sequentials to kind of look at this point. No comic pages. But the action scenes that will come from this are going to be the real test, because that was really the real standout with Daniel's art in this so far, the first 4 issues. So I'm really curious to see how the internal comic pages look. This cover, though, I really enjoy the detail work. The character work on each individual character is so far kind of letting me down a bit. So I want to give it a chance. I have no choice. But so far I'm not real sold on the character work.
It does look like he's not stamping the Autobot logo, so there is that.
So that's something. I mean, I got to give him credit for that. That's that's the Autobot and Decepticon logos are difficult. Any artist that we've talked to will tell you they're not easy to do. So if you're able to draw them on the characters, then that is a real, feather in your cap. You can hang your head high for that, being able to do that, for sure.
Daryl, I was thinking that the machinery there is the arc thruster, so that's why I thought this was the arc. Like I thought it was one of the giant engines on the arc. So
Yeah, I can see where you think that, and you may be right. I'm gonna disagree with you right now, just to because I don't think it is.
Okay. All right. That's all our news. Just update from Skybound for this week. Let's jump into our comic review.
All right. This week, much to Daryl's chagrin, we are looking at Cobra Commander #1. And this is written by Joshua Williamson. Art is by Andrea Milena. Colors by Annalisa Leone. Letters by Russ Booten. And editors are Sean Makowitz and Jonathan Manning. There are a ton of covers. We're not really going to go into them, but it looks like off the bat there's about 9. Like it looks like about 9 covers, 8 covers. So Skybound's making bank on this whole Energon universe stuff. Getting into the story here.
It's all spoilers, by the way.
Yes. Sorry, this is completely spoilers. Nothing is going to be held back. In the Fridges North, masked man walks into a dive bar. He says he needs a vehicle, and a customer at the bar asks how he got all the way up there without a truck. And then he makes fun of the man's lisp as he leaves the bar. Without a word, the masked man follows him out, and seeing his all-terrain tracked vehicle, he thinks it'll do for his needs. He quickly pulls a weapon out and viciously kills the stranger. When the barkeeper comes out to remind the man he hadn't paid, he sees a gruesome scene with a cobra symbol drawn in the snow with his blood. In a time much before this, in a hidden land, a building is being attacked with an explosion and people yelling, "Cobra-la la 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 la." Inside the building are scientists, and the guards are unable to hold the doors back from the mob. One of the scientists says that the mob will see what they've done as committing crimes against their traditions, and he yells to the retreat, but he's shot in the head by a masked man. This man says that no one retreats and that the mob will not see them as threats because they're scientists, but many things can be weapons, including science. They must keep their research safe. He hands some items to a nearby scientist and then throws one himself into the mob. It explodes and burns the approaching crowd, but the person that he had handed one to didn't understand what it was and was blown up by her own weapon. In the ensuing explosion, the masked man was caught up in the flames. He wakes up in a medical bay and is being bitten by a 3-headed snake. He next wakes up laying in a bed, completely bandaged up. A familiar blue and silver helmet is on a shelf next to him, and he stares at it. Pythona enters and tells him to put it on to hide his shame. He's been summoned. When he enters Lord Globulus's chamber, Globulus tells him that he was found in the outside world, lost and without meaning, and he was brought to Cobra-la and given purpose. The world of Cobra-la worships the organic, while a number of other people died trying to harvest from the specimen they have. He didn't. He'd also managed to interrogate and find uses for its technology, even though that was blasphemy. The masked man yells back that he should be respected for doing all that, but he's been denied any positions of leadership and he's being held back. Globulus responds that people had heard rumors about what had been happening in the science facilities and that he knows that the masked man is behind the riots. He only healed him so that Globulus could watch him die. 3 guards appear and attack, but the masked man pulls out some insect-looking devices and they attack the guards and make quick work of them. The masked man said that he's done everything in the name of Globulus and that he needs to be trusted. Then he requests to go on a special mission on the outside world. Impressed with all this, Globulus allows the man to live. The masked man then walks through a gigantic locked door and says to someone, "You probably hoped I was dead." Then he goes on stating that he wasn't lying about his loyalty to Cobra-la and Globulus. He's reported everything, except some data that the specimen provided about the history and alien civilization he comes from. As we then see Megatron, armless and tied into the facility. The other scientists had tried getting him to talk, but instead the masked man used torture to rip the data out. He now knows that there are other energy signatures that match in the outside world. He's going to find them and figure out the secrets to provide Globulus' army. And as he leaves, one of Megatron's eyes lights up as he smiles. Back in the present, the masked man has stopped and left his newly found vehicle to stare at the sunset. Someone comes up behind and asks why he stopped, and that this grunt is supposed to keep him safe. He also suggested disguise, but the masked man said he's going to make sure people pay attention to him and fear the name of Cobra Commander. So that was the book. I thought that I was surprised at the number of pages that had no text at all. It was really interesting to see that, and just letting the art kind of do a lot of the story work. I thought the art itself looked very good. I was very surprised that Joshua Williamson started this story in Cobra-la, which is, as we were talking before we started recording, not the favorite location in the G.I. Joe universe, like, especially to diehard G.I. Joe fans. I don't know. A lot of us like the animated G.I. Joe movie, but you know, it's campy, and Cobra-la is not the best part or the best thing. But you know, it is interesting, and Joshua Williamson, in his note in the back, also said that he's giving us a different Cobra Commander, because he's not cowardly at all. In any of the things we see here, he doesn't back down from any fights. He doesn't retreat. And that is not something that we normally see from Cobra Commander. So it's interesting to see this new take and where they're going to go from here. I'm kind of confused at the Megatron and where we saw at the end of the last issue of Transformers and Megatron here. You know, they obviously are going to have to get from point A to point B. So, you know, that's interesting. And Megatron has no arms here. And I think he had one arm in the Transformers book. But all in all, I really thought this was a fun start. And it's a counter to the Duke #1 where that's really more serious than this is more sci-fi crazy. And I don't know, I enjoy it, and I like how it is tying in to the Energon universe, and looking forward to seeing where it goes. Daryl, let's start with you and get this out of the way. What were your thoughts on the book?
Okay. What the fuck was this shit? Like, first of all, you're starting off in a place that like only diehards know about. You guys are the ones who just told me that this place was actually a thing. I thought this was an alien world. And I'm like, what the hell is this? No explanation whatsoever what Cobra-la was in the book. So anybody that didn't know anything about this is coming into it like me, thinking, what the fuck is this? Where are they? Is this under the sea? Like, are they in the water? Are they on a different planet? Where the hell are they? Right? That's where I'm like, what the hell what am I looking at? He's in a dive bar in the beginning of the book, and then all of a sudden he kills some guy, and then it's okay, great. We're in before, which is no, there's no time period here, right? I'm assuming he's human, so it has to be within the normal span of a human life cycle. So it's got to be some kind of a, within an adult lifespan. So within 20 years, 20, 30 years, this world looks completely alien. So how am I as a new reader supposed to know that this is still on Earth? No way to know. Okay. So now, thanks to you guys, I know that this is Cobra-la, something that was apparently only shown in the animated movie from 1987.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I mean,
so
it might have been in some other comics, but
It was in some of the Devil's Due Transformers
Okay.
versus G.I. Joe comics. They
Right.
had Cobra-la in there.
Okay. So this is really, really niche. I get that we're getting this origin story for Cobra Commander, right? I'm not an idiot. I know who Cobra Commander is, and I've seen G.I. Joe. I grew up in the 80s. These properties were tied together pretty tightly, as they are still. There are an awful lot of characters in here, though, that I have never seen of before or heard from before. Like Pythonia. Never heard of her before.
Globulus were both from the animated movie.
Gotcha. Exactly. So, there's an awful lot going on here that should require a little bit more explanation for a new reader. With regards to the Duke book, Duke is a very well-known character. Cobra Commander is too, but the Duke book followed the events, or kind of it was in response to the events of the Transformers comic, right? So there was something to kind of lead off of there. This is completely different, completely alien. I am not really sold on the art style. it's too I want to say it's lacking in detail. There's some pages that have it, but it's not good enough. I would like it to be more there. I'd like it to have more uh texture, but not texture, if you know what I mean, right? So yeah, I appreciate the the fact that Cobra Commander has been getting his science, his technology from Megatron. That's been used before. Animated did it. It's a
Live
trope
action
from
movies did it.
right. It's a trope that's been used a number of times. A lot of different franchises have used the same kind of thing. Oh, Men in Black used it, right? They're microwaves and Velcro and all this other blah 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 is all from Aliens, right? Okay, cool. I get it. It's a very easy thing to do, and it works. So I appreciate that. It's neat. But again, like what you said, Jeremy, this this Megatron though, it doesn't fit into the puzzle that is the Energon universe right now. We have Megatron in the Transformers book, and we have it in this Cobra Commander book. Now, yes, this is the before times. We don't know how long, and we don't know how he gets from this before to the present day and stuck in a mountainside.
Well,
right?
Charles, wasn't Cobra-la kind of hidden within like the Arctic or like a cold area? So,
yeah, I mean, and it could be that the image we saw in Transformers issue 4 was like the past. So he was originally like, the arc crashes. During the crash, Megatron falls out of the arc and he's encased. He's like it's in like he falls he falls in the Arctic somewhere into a mountainside. He's in frozen ice. Sometime later, Cobra-la finds him and excavates him, and they take him back to their city. And then Cobra Commander starts experimenting on them, and then he leaves to go, out into the world on his mission.
yeah.
So it could be that in the present day, Megatron is still in Cobra-la, or
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or in the past, something happened to Cobra-la and Megatron ends up on the mountain. We'll have to see where the series takes it.
Yeah, we don't know which direction the timeline is at this point.
Right. I will point out that the Decepticon logos on Megatron are stamps. Just to add that to this.
Thumbs down.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I'm not gonna hold that against them. It's a G.I. Joe book. But yeah, there's an awful lot going on in this book that is just an absolute mess for me. So to be honest, I'm Joshua Williamson's a good writer. In my eyes, he's a better artist. He's a really good artist, and to have this book have such not great art, let's say, and have such an amazing artist as a writer, I was really disappointed in the art when I opened it up. So I was hoping for better, and yeah, unfortunately we got what we got. Yeah. Anywho, that's my rant.
All right. Well, Charles, what were your thoughts?
I will just start off. I will agree with Daryl that there is not enough information about Cobra-la for a new reader. Like we do have just those when it starts off with the before, and we have like two. I think it's a 2-page spread of just like showing the Cobra-la area. You could have put like some narration text over that about what this is, like Cobra-la, secret hidden society in the Arctic.
I mean, didn't the animated movie do that similar thing?
I think so. Yeah. I have to go back and watch the animated.
Yeah,
I've not watched that
it's been
movie
a
in a
long
long
time.
time. But yeah, I mean, they could have used that space to give just a little bit of an intro to what Cobra-la is, and what it's supposed to be. I mean, I think the name was like Shangri-La, so that invokes the image of a hidden society, that's mystical and far off, but they did not give you enough information about it in this book. To fill in the blanks, from what I remember, like, and they do mention a little bit about it in the book about how Cobra-la, their technology is all like organic, and that was a big thing in the movie, is that all the Cobra-la's technology was based on like biomechanical in engineering. So none of their technology was like, metallic or machinery in the traditional sense. It was all like living organisms stitched together. So that's, why, like, when in the science directorate they have like he's throwing bombs, the bombs are actually like, some kind of organically grown grenade things, but they're not like machines or traditional explosives. Um, so that's why it's a big deal that they have Megatron there and they're experimenting on Megatron, because Megatron's completely mechanical. So of course people are going to have a problem with experimenting on this mechanical alien monster thing that is basically blasphemy in their eyes. So that, I mean, that from the premise of Cobra-la, that makes sense, but if you don't know what Cobra-la is, that's going to be a hard thing to understand in the book. And I think the setup could have been better explained. So I will agree with Daryl on that. Um, Overall, as someone who was familiar with Cobra-la, I thought it was interesting that he decided to use it as Cobra Commander's origin story, because I do think, um, but I do think, for this particular like Energon universe, if you're starting the Energon universe off with aliens out in space and Transformers, then you need to go weird with GI Joe to have GI Joe keep up with it. Like the more grounded military origin story of GI Joe and Cobra was popular in the comic books, I think is going to be harder to integrate with like Transformers and Void Rivals. So if you have something that's really weird, and also on par with some crazy sci-fi concept that meshes with and can be kind of a counterpoint to Transformers, then maybe that will work for as part of this larger Energon universe. I mean, we'll see. I mean, this is one issue, so it's not, we have to see how far they take this. But I can see where Joshua Williamson thought that would be a good fit for this. I wonder what the GI Joe folks will think about that. And I guess we'll see. Late. Well, I mean, we have seen, I guess, as the week has unfolded. We're recording this before the comic comes out, so we don't know at this point. We don't know what the fan response is. Um, but I thought it's an interesting take. I'm willing to see where it goes from there. We did speculate before the comic came out that Cobra Commander would have something to do with Megatron. We didn't know exactly how they'd be connected, but it was interesting to see that yes, Megatron is part of Cobra Commander's origin here. So I thought that was interesting. Um, and I'm intrigued by this starting off point. One thing, Jeremy, you didn't mention at the very end was that we get a tease of the Dreadnoks. So
Oh, right.
Cobra Commander has that his little device where he's like, I guess, pinpointing the next energy signature, and it pinpoints on Florida. And then we get a scene of like in a swamp somewhere with where it says Dreadnoks. So um, we're going to get Dreadnoks maybe next issue. Um,
And that
Also,
is
the Dreadnoks are they're like these band of thugs that Cobra
Basically, like,
heavily employed in the
yeah,
show.
basically, like,
The
they just hire them to do jobs.
Yeah, like
the
their
Cobra
their
Records.
leader, they're kind of
Kind of.
kind of their lead, but less disciplined.
Yeah.
The
Their
Cobra
leader was
Suicide Squad.
Zartan, huh?
There's a Suicide Squad.
Kind of. Maybe. Without the
Yeah.
bombs on the head.
But their leader was more well known, Zartan, because he's basically the chameleon in GI Joe. He can like change his face to be, so he did a lot of the like espionage for Cobra, where he would pretend to be other people, and his toy had this like I forget, did the toy have like a hologram or like he could rotate his face or something
I
like
thought
that?
the face changed colors or something with water.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
That
So
seems problematic.
One of those awesome '80s gimmicks that definitely holds up.
you don't remember no memory of Zartan from GI Joe, Daryl?
Oh, I do. I don't remember of
Okay.
a multiracial toy though.
His green erase? I don't know. That's what it is.
It's reptilian.
But yeah, but Zartan's basically thugs were the Dreadnoks. Those were his group of thugs that worked for him. So that's that, I guess we're teasing that for next issue. Other thing I did like was Cobra Commander's like trench coat and hat reminded me of Old Snake from that one Transformers episode, Only Human. You remember that season 3 episode, Daryl?
I do.
So that definitely looked like it was an homage to that. So I thought that was cool. So another little Transformers reference for you.
Yes, the clothes he wore. Transformers reference. Yes. Yes, we have traveled into reaching territory here. Yeah.
The art style, I guess, I mean, I understand Daryl's criticism of the art style, but for me it was okay. I mean, it was a little bit more, I'd say it's more definitely less detailed, but more kind of impressionistic rather than like highly detailed. But I still thought it was worked. I still thought the action scenes were pretty dynamic. I liked the Cybertron flashback scenes that where you see a little bit of Megatron's memories. You get I see a Tetrajet there. I see Omega Supreme. So I see some of the character. I mean, also they're rendered not in very high detail, but you do get a little bit of an impression of Megatron's history there. So
I'm going to correct you. That is going to be a Guardian robot and not Omega Supreme. Just a quick little correction.
How do you know? How do you know?
Blue. He's blue, Charles.
None of the colors there are filled in. It could be just different lighting effects or
what, I thought
or
it was
just
a Guardian robot too.
I mean, he's a
It
Guardian
looks like
robot.
there's an Insecticon there above the Tetrajet.
He's a Guardian robot.
All right, whatever. Okay, sure, fine. It's a Guardian robot. It's not Omega Supreme because Omega Supreme's the only orange and red Guardian they colored him orange and red because he's super special.
He's supreme.
And all.
He is. He's Omega. He's the Omega and the Supreme.
Anyway, so yeah. I mean, I think I'm definitely more on Jeremy's side here. That I thought it was an interesting start. It wasn't as strong for me as Duke #1. And definitely, these are second tier to the Transformers comics. So, but I'm still intrigued and looking to see where these stories are going. So we're gonna keep reviewing them, Daryl.
At least, I mean, well, these are miniseries, but just at least to the end of these miniseries, and then we'll see.
None of our listeners get behind me and tell you all to stop this nonsense.
Either that, or we just don't have content for the shows.
I mean, we can get on here and talk about all the media news that is happening. I mean, it's all media news. It's all me all the time, talking media news nonstop.
Anything to get away from GI Joe comics.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I think
everyone loves my media news segments.
After this, we need to review the 87 GI Joe movie.
Oh my lord.
Anyway, I think this is, it's a good start. So we'll see where it goes from here.
All right. Well, with our review finished, we'll do it for this episode of Transmissions Alt Mode. Again, as always, we end the show by giving a shout out to our Masterpiece Donatrons. Those are the folks who continue to support the podcast at our highest level on Patreon. So thank you once again to John Forks 7 Good and Demon Tech 82. We really appreciate it. And we really appreciate everyone else for watching and listening to our episode. If you are interested, just have a comment, feedback about Cobra Commander #1 or any of the previous comics we've reviewed for the last few weeks with the Energon universe ramping up. Let us know what your thoughts are. We'll talk about them on the show. So thanks everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you later.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Transmissions. If you'd like to join the conversation, travel to our Discord channel at transmissionspodcast.com/Discord. Want some cool transmission swag? Feast your eyes on our transmissions gear at transmissionspodcast.com/shop. If you'd like to support our podcast, go to transmissionspodcast.com/support or tell your friends about our show. We'll see you next time.